Chapter 375, A Ruined Relationship. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. He Yunlu, from the School of the Martial Market of South Cloud Commandery, leading 31 students to attend the Saint Academy's examination. He Yunlu handed over the token and quickly finished the registration. They each got temporary residence certificate of East Region Saint City, and could ride the White Dragon holy ship at any time. Although East Region Saint City was vast in land, it was now overcrowded. An ordinary man would have no qualifications to live in East Region Saint City at all. He Yunlu's temporary residence certificate could only let him live in East Region Saint City for 3 months. In 3 months, he would be expelled. If he wanted to live and practice in East Region Saint City, he had to pay a high price to get a new temporary residence certificate. So, those who had the right to live permanently in East Region Saint City were not ordinary people. They were powerful or had the extraordinary background. Having gotten the temporary residence certificate, He Yunlu did not leave at once. Instead, he stood by the side and smiled at Lei Jing, and gestured please. After all, they came to Tankan Wharf together, and they should certainly go to Saint City together as well. Furthermore, He Yunlu was also curious about the story behind Lei Jing. Was it really like what he had guessed? Was he a big figure of some mansion in the School of the Martial Market? If so, when he arrived at the East Region Saint City, he must try to keep a good relationship with them. Lei Jing smiled back at He Yunlu. He walked straight over and took out the token, passing it to the registrar of School of the Martial Market. He said, Lei Jing of School of the Martial Markets of Omen Ridge leads 4 students to attend the Saint Academy's examination. It turns out to be School of the Martial Market of Omen Ridge. He Yunlu nodded his head gently. Suddenly, he became stiff and was a bit shocked. What? How come they were from a place with barren hills and turbulent rivers like School of the Martial Market of Omen Ridge? He Yunlu's eyes almost popped out. A moment later, he stopped smiling. There was even a little bit of disdain in his eyes when he looked at Lei Jing. A bumpkin from a district shut off from the outside world like Omen Ridge actually dared to call himself a saint from Saint Academy. Was not he afraid of that he would be exposed? Other than He Yunlu, even the genius students of School of the Martial Market of South Cloud Commandery were all shocked. They could never think of that those people were actually from a small place like Omen Ridge. By the way, where was Omen Ridge? He Yunlu was an old man who had been practicing for almost 100 years. He more or less heard of Omen Ridge. However, the young students had never heard of it. Thus, how desolate, remote, and uncivilized the land must have been. Zhu Yingru widened her beautiful eyes. It was like that she was struck by lightning. Her mind was blank. She could not believe what she heard. A long time later, she came to herself. She spared a glance at Zhang Yuochen, who was not far away. The expression in her eyes seemed to be asking Zhang Ruochen, Are you really from Omen Ridge? Juan Muxingling stood by Zhang Yuochen's side. She had a charming and witty smile. With a positive expression, she nodded her head at Zhu Yingru and said jokingly, Senior Sister Apprentice Zhu, our Omen Ridge is a place with picturesque scenery. You might not like Junior Fellow Apprentice Zhang very much now, but if you marry him in the future, he will definitely treat you well. Damn it. He is actually a poor man from Omen Ridge. I thought he was an inheritor of some powerful saint family. Zhu Yingru felt sick when she thought about that she actually took the initiative to kiss Zhang Yuochen. Feeling that she was blasphemed. It was like a white swan to kissing a dirty toad. Hearing what Duan Muxingling said, Zhu Yingru got angrier. Her eyes turned cold. There was disdain in her eyes when she looked at Zhang Yuochen. She said, Who said that I like him? We just exchanged views about sword technique. You hold your tongue. Don't tarnish my reputation. That was very direct. And whatever relationship they had was ruined. Just like that. Anyone could hear the condescendence in Zhu Yingru's tone for Zhang Yuochen. She thought that the gossip between her and Zhang Yuochen tarnished her and left a nasty scar on her perfect body. At the same time, Zhu Yingru did not think that Zhang Yuochen was an amazing talent anymore. How could there be any talent from Omen Ridge? It was already quite impressive to have a genius with 4 unique skills. As for defeating Zihanshaw, it was possible only because of his profound martial cultivation. In her opinion, Jiang Yuochen's cultivation had already reached the completion of the heaven realm. Otherwise, how could he defeat a proud son of heaven like Zihanshaw? Jiang Yuochen's young handsome look could not explain anything. As long as he spent some spiritual crystals, he could buy pill of anti-aging. Maybe Jiang Yuochen had swallowed this pill. He must be over 40 years old. Thinking of this, Zhu Yingru felt more furious and shameful. She regretted that her first kiss was given to a rubbish like him. She squeezed her hand with fingers crossed and calmed down after a long time. She thought in her mind, forget it. After all, he saved me once. The kiss can be a favor I return to him. From now on, I'd better not to have anything to do with him, for else I will just be demeaning myself. Jiang Yuochen certainly did not care about Zhu Yingru's disdainful words. However, Juan Muxingling was very furious after hearing that. She said seriously, you must apologize to Jiang Yuochen immediately. Otherwise, the consequences will be serious. At this moment, Juan Muxingling did not smile at all. Her eyes were full of murderous intent that pierced through Zhu Yingru's heart. Even Zhu Yingru's cultivation was high. She was outfaced by Juan Muxingling for a moment. How could this be possible? Why were her eyes so scary? Who was she? She was just a warrior from a remote village like Omen Ridge. Why should I be afraid of her? Zhu Yingru instantly regulated her genuine qi and called up all her courage. Sticking out her chest again, she raised her snow-white chin and said, apologize? Why would I? Did I say something wrong? You are the one who is talking nonsense. How can I like him? You should be the one doing the apologizing, right? Juan Muxingling showed an angry smile and walked forward. She said, well, I am going to apologize to you right now. Jiang Yuochen instantly grabbed Juan Muxingling by her arm and pulled her back. He shook her head and said, Senior Sister Apprentice Juan Mu, Maiden Zhu was right. She and I were just exchanging views about sword technique. Our relationship is not as good as you expected. Zhu Yingru slightly nodded her head after hearing this. She thought that Jiang Yuochen was at least sensible enough to not mention the kiss. Juan Muxingling's lips were pursed, and she was furious. If Jiang Yuochen did not stop her, she would definitely have rushed over tried to teach Zhu Yingru a lesson. Lei Jing got the temporary residence certificate and did not know at all what just happened. He looked at He Yunlu and smiled. Brother He, would you like to board the White Dragon holy ship with me? He Yunlu smiled and said, I just remembered that I have to deal with something in Tankun Wharf, which will probably take some time. You can go to the East Region Saint City first. We still have a chance to meet in Saint Academy's examination. Haha. Alright. See you. Lei Jing certainly knew what they were thinking. They looked down on warriors of Omen Ridge. Even if you had saved her life before, in his opinion, you were still inferior to others. In Saint Academy, Lei Jing had been accustomed to seeing such a thing long ago. He was not surprised at all. He did not point out bluntly and smiled. He led Jiang Yuochen, Juan Muxingling, Chang Kiki and others to board the White Dragon holy ship and headed toward East Region Saint City.